You know, John, I have not been the biggest fan in the world of the year of our Lord 2019.
I can understand that.
It's kind of been a crappy year, but I got to tell you, like the last couple of weeks, oh man, like we're drowning in good stuff right now. Like there's literally something for everybody. I mean, you know, South Park is on, Rick and Morty is on, The Good Place is on, The Mandalorian is out, Death Stranding is out, the Jedi Fallen Order is getting ready to come out, Pokemon's getting ready to come out. Just there's so many things. There are so many things that I'm literally I can barely keep up with all the things.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing. So welcome back, everybody, to the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
We're going to talk about all the things today.
The things.
Actually, I don't know how much time we're going to have to talk about a lot of things because
none of the things.
I could talk about all this stuff in the very beginning.
Look, Jeff's got to tell you his opinions on Death Stranding, so we've really only got 2 minutes for the rest of the podcast.
It's a 4-hour podcast. We've got 2 minutes for news and the other 3 hours and 58 minutes.
Well, we have to have like a 19-minute like epilogue or prologue before we actually get to the.
You mean a 2.5-hour prologue?
I just meant proportionate. I was trying to be proportionate to the.
Okay, so if we had a 40-hour podcast, then it would be a 15-minute intro segment. Yeah. It's actually really funny. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about Death Stranding, and I'm going to be honest with you, John. I'm going to keep them all in check.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to keep them all in check.
I haven't played the game yet.
I mean, nobody's played all the game. I
haven't even seen the game yet. I've avoided everything.
I went to the sandwich store today, and the lady at the sandwich store that I talked to about video games was like, yeah, I just got the game yesterday. I'm planning on starting it tonight. Like, Michael's got a job. You've got a job. All you motherfuckers have jobs. I started playing Death Stranding on Thursday.
Oh, boo-hoo. We can't all be well-off to do YouTubers who get paid to sit around and play video games all day.
Now wait. I am not well off. All right. I'm moderately well off.
Still, boo-hoo. Poor Jeff.
No, I know. But the thing is that I want to talk about this game with people, but nobody I know has finished it. Nobody on the Discord has finished it because nobody's crazy enough to play the game in like 4 16-hour stints and ignore their entire life in order to get through it. And I count that as a personal failing. Whether it's my personal failing or somebody else's personal failing, we're gonna discuss that. But.
Just saying, boo-hoo, that I have to have a job to live because I don't get paid to sit around and play video games.
Well, you know, this is a time for introspection. It's the holidays, you know. Anyway, I'm gonna go through this real fast, and then you go through it real fast, and then we'll start on those things because we got so much to talk about today. Rick and Morty. I loved the first episode of Rick and Morty.
Didn't watch it.
Mandalorian.
Didn't watch it.
Thumbs up. Really liked Mandalorian. I love where it's going. I just wish they put it all up instead of putting it out once a week. The Good Place remains excellent.
Haven't watched it.
South Park remains fucking awesome. My Hero Academia.
Haven't watched it.
Wonderful. Death Stranding.
Haven't played it.
Big thumbs up in Death Stranding. Well, what have you been playing?
I went and saw Dr. Sleep.
Oh, okay.
Which is really good. I liked it. Not a horror movie, but still really good.
I actually just started watching
I felt it was a very good, like, I feel like it does sequel, like it's a sequel done right.
Okay.
In that
it's got big shoes to fill. Like.
Well, also the fact, you know, it's paying homage to both the original Shining book,
right,
and also the Shining movie, because I don't know if you know this, but the movie is very different than the book. I do know that, yes. So it's very different. So it kind of is paying homage to all of it.
Okay.
And then also, from what I understand, the ending to this movie is also very different from the book.
Oh, because Dr. Sleep was a book before. Okay. I stopped reading Stephen King a long time ago, but
it's also apparently the first half of it is apparently similar, not exact, but pretty faithful as far as movie adaptations go.
Right.
But then like the second half, or like the last act of the movie, just goes off in its own place.
Okay. Considering what I know about Stephen King, that's probably a good thing.
But apparently, you know, Stephen King was totally okay with the changes made. He was actually gave his full blessing, which he didn't give his full blessing on The Shining. So there you go. He hates The Shining. Yeah. I don't know if you know that.
There's a lot of weird shit about The Shining, about the original movie.
But as far as sequels go, it's a very good sequel.
Okay.
It's I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot. I was kind of surprised at how good it was and how well it's not doing in the box office.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Well, I think it's weird that I didn't even know that it was, one, I didn't know that it was a thing, and two, I didn't know it was a sequel until people in my Twitter were talking about it. So I don't know, maybe it's not, maybe it needed to be called The Shining 2 Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, the book was called Dr. Sleep.
So,
yeah.
I just wonder if there are people who don't even know that it has any connection to the original.
Yeah.
But
it's good.
It was good.
It was good. I liked it.
Cool.
Let's see. I've been playing. I'm almost done with Outer Worlds. I think I'm getting to the end there.
How good is Outer Worlds?
It's really good.
It's really good.
It's really, really good.
Eminently playable. Really solid game.
Yeah. And I think that's about it as far as my life goes.
Okay. Well, I tell you what. Let's transition from the horror that is Dr. Sleep to the horror.
But I said it wasn't a horror.
Okay, let's transition from the psychological nightmare.
Adjacent,
okay, you're messing up my segue here, John. Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's what I'm here for, Jeff.
Sonic the Hedgehog is a thing.
I got to make this shit entertaining somehow.
So when the original Sonic the Hedgehog trailer came out, everybody was mad at it because Sonic looked like a weird mutant.
Yeah, it looked weird.
Fucking strange-o. He had teeth and a kind of weirdly human body.
I didn't even mind that he had teeth. It's just the teeth were always prevalent in every shot.
I think it was the proportions of his he had he looked like he looked like a child, right? He had a human body covered in blue fur, and it was weird looking. Well, they said they were going to go back. They delayed the movie to go back and take care of this because people were so mad. And so we got the new trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog, and it looks a lot better.
Yeah, I think it's great. Go doing stylized, but still trying to keep the essence of the character.
Yeah.
Fucking perfect.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it. And I thought I think we talked about it last time. I said outside of the design of Sonic, I actually thought the trailer wasn't bad. It looked fun.
Yeah.
I still hold that same. I think it still looks fun. Actually, with the update, I think it looks more fun.
It's funny because I kind of had the exact opposite reaction in that, as everyone knows, I am
you hate Sonic,
chronic Sonic hater.
Yeah,
and so
much so you refuse to eat at the fast food chain.
I don't even eat chili dogs. I love chili dogs, but I will not eat them because of that motherfucking rodent. No, but I went back and watched the first trailer, and I realized that the first trailer, most of the quippiness was coming from Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik, and this one was just it's full. The fire hose of Sonic is on full blast.
I loved it.
So I don't know. I mean, obviously, this movie was never going to be for Jeff from Rage Select.
No, it's made for John.
Yes, but I do say
people who are much more attached to Sonic than I am.
The model looks way better though.
Yeah,
and the fact that it's kind of interesting in that since it was always a CGI character, they didn't have to do reshoots or anything. They just had to go in there and switch it around.
Yeah,
and part of the reason for that was apparently they brought in one of the guys that worked, this Tyson Hess, who worked on Sonic Mania and the one that came after that. I think.
He also made his own he's one of the guys that was making his own Sonic game, fan game, and then they said, well, why don't you come and work for us and make an actual game?
Yeah,
and he's like, okay.
So I don't know. I mean, this looks better than it looks better than it did. It looks better than it did. As I've said, it's not probably not for me, but all right. Well, with that out of the way,
I think it looks great.
With that out of the way, I'm sure. I mean, everybody. Also, can we just say that they put Blitzkrieg Bop in here as the backing track, and then Gangsta's Paradise in the first one, and Gangsta's Paradise didn't make any fucking sense because what does Coolio have to do with Sonic the Hedgehog?
Because Sonic is Coolio?
Maybe is that what it was? I mean. And this one, I mean, Blitzkrieg Bop obviously is just a higher energy thing, and so it fit better with the kind of manic pace of the trailer.
Agreed.
Anyway, speaking of manic paces, we're going to have a manic panic Rage Select podcast because right before we started recording, Microsoft came out with the XO 19. Take a look at all this stuff. like giant live keynote, and then they're going for like 2 days. But I just watched the live show. I got up.
Well,
like,
it's
right
like they got the live show, and then like what is it, like Friday and Saturday they have like live played of all the stuff they showed.
Oh, like demos and stuff.
Yeah, but it's like not really anything.
It's like the Treehouse, right? It's like Treehouse at E3.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I thought there was going to be some sort of bigger announcement than what we got out of this. Like I was expecting like something,
like Scarlet or Halo,
some Scarlet information, maybe some info about Halo,
or just something,
just something big.
What?
Yeah, something to be like, oh, and let's drop let's mic drop the mic drop moment.
Right. There's a new Jet Grind radio, and it's out today. And
not even that. Just like there's a new Jet Grind radio, or oh, hey, we own, there's this new this
we bought
or whatever
Sony.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's I don't know. I was expecting something.
There was a lot of stuff announced, but none of it was big.
I forgot that it was today.
Yeah.
And then when you messaged me before, like to make sure that I was able to record today,
yeah,
they were like, hey, did you watch this? I was like, I forgot that was today. I felt really bad. I was like, oh man, I totally missed all the big announcements. And then I kind of skimmed through like what the announcements were. I didn't like watch any of it. I just looked at what the people were saying the announcements were. I'm like, that's it.
You know what it reminds me of is one of those what they're like the Sony State of Play things where it's just like a bunch of like mid-tier trailers, and you're like, all right, that's cool. I mean, yeah, none of this is gonna.
You had an actual event, for this, like that. No offense, Xbox. I love you and I love what you're doing. I love a lot of the stuff that you're putting down, but
this is a little weak.
If you're gonna throw an event,
it's a little weak.
You gotta bring the pow.
Well, the thing, I guess, here's the thing. Like, let's just take before we jump into it. Let's just briefly run it through in our head. Like, of the stuff that we know is coming from Microsoft, Halo is probably the biggest thing that they've got. Like, none of the other first party, there's a new Ori, but like I feel like that's just kind of a given. Gears is out. Maybe that Gears tactical game that they announced and then we have never seen ever the hell again. But like, I'm trying to think of like, because when Sony does a thing, I feel like the question is always just like, where's Ghost of Tsushima? Where is Last of Us 2, right?
Yeah.
If you show Last of Us 2 or Ghost of Tsushima, people are going to freak out. I'm like, what currently known properties does Microsoft have that people would like freak out about? And I think that's just Halo at this point. Well, and then, okay, this is a good segue. We know that they had Obsidian and that Rare's working on something, and
Ninja Theory's working on their game, whatever the fuck it's called, Bleeding Edge, or
I forget. Yeah, the 4v4 or whatever online action game. But none of the announcements. I don't feel like any of the announcements that we saw were like of the caliber of the most well known of the games that those studios make. Yeah. So like, I think that like for example, Obsidian announced this. What's it called? Like Overland or Grounded. The survival game, this online survival game where it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and you get a little, the yard is gigantic and you're fighting spiders and bugs and you team up with your friends. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. If they had announced like the first, like a DLC world for the Outer Worlds, I think that would have gone over as a bigger what kind of thing than just this. So anyway, we started with the new Jedi Fallen Order trailer.
Yeah, there was a live action trailer, and then there was like
it's like some girls running around this construction site, and then the
like
guys,
all the people who work there are like
they're all like throwing stuff at her,
pretend like they're stormtroopers, and then like she throws her lightsaber through a window that her dad is working at, and he then like kind of joins in because he also is a.
It's a very weird trailer.
Yeah. It was. I actually thought it was a very cute trailer. I thought it was a lot of fun. But like the game comes out tomorrow, guys.
Yeah.
Why?
I still, for the life of me, I do not understand why they waste money making these live action trailers.
I mean, that's fine. Like they put it's for TV or whatever. But my thing was like, this is how you open up your big live event, your big Xbox celebration event, is you're going to show us a trailer, not just a live action trailer, but this other trailer that's for a game that comes out tomorrow, and there's no like extra thing. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, and it's coming to Game Pass, or oh yeah, and it's, you know,
this exclusive Hoth DLC for the Xbox.
Yeah, you get a whole exclusive side mission for if you buy it on Xbox that is only on Xbox or anything like that. It was just like, nah, it's
here's Star Wars.
Here's Star Wars. Oh, here's a thing that we never really talked about that you can totally do at some point in the game that people are going to lose their shit over, sort of.
Yeah. So Rare has a new game. Previously, Sea of Thieves was their last one.
Yeah.
And this is called Everwild. This is a very, I feel like this game could be like 8 different games that I've already played.
Yeah, or seen trailers for.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of people and they're in this kind of weird habitat, this weird land with a bunch of strange, some of these creatures look like the organic versions of the robots from Horizon Zero Dawn, to be honest.
Yeah. Or like they're trying to like sort of look like Miyazaki weird creature looking creatures.
Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, Princess Mononoke style creatures, but it's different enough that they won't get copyright.
Yeah, there's like giant squirrel pigs, and I don't know. I mean, like, I have no idea what the hell is going on in this game. I mean, hey, by the time of this podcast comes out, maybe you guys will watch an hour worth of like gameplay footage, but simply as a style, like, it looks pretty, but it just doesn't really differentiate itself. The last time Rare announced something, it was like, it's a pirate game, and I was like, all right, pirate games, I like those. This is like, it's a mystical enchanted forest game, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, there's a lot of those.
So what do? You run around.
Yeah, you're gonna pet some deer. Let's see, Sea of Thieves is getting a new story DLC called the Seabound Soul that appears to be kind of ghost pirate stuff, which looks all right if you're playing Sea of Thieves. I mean, I'm not, but if you are, I mean,
if you are,
there you go.
Then this may be for you.
We talked about Grounded, but it looks kind of interesting. Obsidian, I mean, I feel like Obsidian's got a reputation at this point for mostly making RPGs.
Yeah.
So this is a weird departure for them of this like tiny people in like a backyard, cutting down grass and making it into houses and fighting bees and spiders and termites. You got to roast a termite to stay alive, make a house. It's really creative looking, like it's an interesting concept.
It definitely looks like you said, someone watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and went, let me take notes.
Yeah, I want to play that.
I want to turn that into a video game, which there's nothing wrong with that.
And, you know, fighting a gigantic spider is on my list of things that's truly terrifying to me.
Yeah, they showed like some of the building stuff, and it reminds me of Fortnite's building mechanics.
Yeah, like OG Fortnite, back when it was like a zombie survival game.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks interesting. It just looks so outside of the wheelhouse of what you would expect Obsidian to do. They actually talked to them about how they just really got this idea for wanting to make a survival game, and then this was kind of the way that they decided to go. So, I don't know. I mean, the nice thing about a lot of these games, like, you know, Everwild and Grounded, is that they're going to be on Game Pass. So, you know, I can just play them. And then if I don't like them, I could just uninstall them because I don't have to pay for them. Don't Nod put out, this is the Life is Strange. They put out a new trailer for, I honestly thought this was a Life is Strange game when I first saw the trailer.
I mean, it looks like the same art style. It has the same tone.
Yeah. Kind of people discovering themselves and secrets of the past.
Whatever happened with that other Don't Nod game that was supposed to be coming out?
Which one?
The one that was about the dude with the memory loss or whatever. It hadn't come out yet, I don't think.
It hasn't. What? Tell me more. I'm blanking on.
I
dude with memory loss. Wasn't Vampire the last?
Well, Vampire was the last Don't Nod game that was not Life is Strange 2. But there was another one that was announced.
Let's see here. Don't Nod Entertainment on Wikipedia.
God, I feel really bad about this.
Captain Spirit. Twin Mirror?
Twin Mirror, that's it.
Huh.
When the hell is that supposed to come out?
I don't know. Let's click on the Wikipedia article. It says 2020.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I do not remember that But at all. Anyway, the I guess one of the bigger things here is that one of the characters is transgender.
Yeah.
Which either it's twins and one of them is transgender and they're kind of going back to explore the past and see what happens. I mean, I feel like we get a lot of games like this. I mean, I feel like this is kind of in the like the first Life is Strange. I never finished it, but like the person in that game had superpowers, right? And then like Life is Strange 2. The person in that one of the kids in that had like superpowers. Yeah. But then like Before the Storm, there were no superpowers. It was just a prequel. And then like Captain Spirit was like imaginary superpowers, but there wasn't. And this doesn't look like it's any superpowers, but they all kind of feel like they fit into the same universe. I guess it's one of those things where if you like Life is Strange, you're probably going to like Tell Me Why, which is the name of the game. We got a new trailer for Bleeding Edge, which is the Ninja Theory game, where it's like a 4-on-4 right action game.
That's what we've all assumed. Like we haven't actually seen any.
There's actually alpha footage out there of it, but I haven't seen it. But it's like kind of what Melee Overwatch almost, like with a little bit of what was that Cliffy B game that had promise and completely failed.
Breakers.
I can remember his Boss Key, the name of the studio. Something Breakers. Anyway, I don't know. This looks interesting. It's once again, I feel like so many of these announcements are like, what did you expect from Ninja Theory? And it's like, not this. After Hellblade and Odyssey, Journey to the West, this was not what I expected out of that studio. I mean, all the art is really great on it. All the character design is great. I think this is kind of just like very similar to what we said back at E3 when they announced it. That looks good, kind of weird concept. But we also got a release date with this trailer that's coming out in March of 2020. So March 24th. Good. Yeah. And then there's also going to be I watched the interview with them where they said there's going to be there's going to be some beta stuff that happens before then to get the balancing and everything down. And they showed off a new character. There's this lady with like bird legs, like cyber bird legs.
She got like wings on her arms.
It's kind of like, they actually showed a little bit of her in action, and like her bird legs are gigantic. Oh. So it's like the lower half of her is huge, and then the upper half is like a regular looking person. Well, as regular as you are with cyber bird wings and a mohawk and smoky eyeshadow and etc.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got some information about xCloud that it's eventually coming to PC, and there's going to be some Xbox Game Pass integration. I'll be honest, I was actually watching when this information was out. I feel like xCloud is still way on the horizon. Like they had stations set up at this for people to play. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to know. Like, I feel like everybody's a little bit yawn-tastic about both this and like Stadia. That I don't know that many people who are just like, "Fuck yeah, xCloud! I can't wait for it to come out." For me, it's mostly because I don't have a cell phone that would support it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of worthless to me. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see soon enough. Halo Reach is coming to the Master Chief Collection in December, which is the last one, I believe, that's not already on there because they put out ODST.
Yeah.
And then 1 through 4 was on there. And this wasn't. And then I think they announce this when they said that the Master Chief Collection was coming to PC.
I think they might have mentioned that they were going to do it, yeah.
Because I think that they said that they were going to, when they put the Master Chief Collection on PC, they were going to release it in chronological order instead of just dumping it all out at one time. So this is coming out in early December, and it's going to be on both the Xbox and the PC, I believe.
Yeah, it's 4K. It said 4K, and
kind of all the rest of the stuff. It doesn't look like they've done any. I mean, Reach was new enough that it doesn't seem like they've done a shitload of remastering on it, but then I don't
think they had to.
Needed it, yeah. It's kind of Halo 3 situation where they just kind of cleaned it up a little bit, which that's cool. I've never really played Reach. I have played a very limited number of the Halo games, but, it's not a bad idea. Microsoft Flight Simulator got a new trailer. If you like flying around over really pretty environments
that are not cities.
Microsoft. Well, there's other cities in there too. There's, I guess the main thing is that it seems like you can get pretty low, and that they're actually buildings and shit that you could fly near. I personally have never been a fan of this franchise, but I don't think that this franchise was ever for me.
Yeah.
Just fly around, be calming flight through the air. Yeah. I don't know. Looks good if that's what you're into. Let's see. From there, we got some more stuff that's like a lot of this show was just like not exactly made for Jeff from Rage Select. Age of Empires 4 got a trailer with some pre-alpha footage in it. It looks like a 3D Age of Empires.
Yes, it does.
It's not a lot more to say to it than that. I've never been a fan of Age of Empires because there's just too much resource management, and the battles are real weird. But it just basically looks like they took Age of Empires and made a modern version of it with 3-dimensional graphics, and that's pretty much the end of the story.
Yes.
Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition is a thing, and it's out today. That was one of their. It's out today. It's on the Game Pass. This is just like the last one where it's up-res to 4K and everything's a little bit sharper, but they haven't really changed anything hugely about it. So that is a thing. Oh, yeah, and there is a new expansion called The Last Cons that's in that. Again, Game Pass on PC. You can download it and play it right now. I was going to download it, and then it was 26 gigs, and I was like, I don't have that much gigs. We got a new trailer for Crossfire X, which is, I believe, a free-to-play Counter-Strike-y type of thing that we heard about at E3. Boy, it looks a lot like Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like Counter-Strike. I'm sure that if you're into that sort of thing, it will be fine. I can honestly say that I'm not that into that sort of thing. John, are you into that sort of thing?
Not really.
Okay. Well, then you can go watch somebody else on YouTube tell you what they think about it, because it just looks like Counter-Strike / Call of Duty, period. We got a release date for Minecraft Dungeons, which, if anybody's forgotten, is the Minecraft Diablo style clone. It's going to be out in April of 2020. There's a little bit of gameplay footage for it. I mean, I still think that this looks like I think it's a good direction for Minecraft, making a Diablo style procedurally generated, but with Diablo or with Minecraft.
Yeah, a little spinoff.
Yeah,
nice little spinoff. Yeah,
no problem whatsoever with that. Then we got a big Game Pass announcement. Some of this I've actually left a few things out just because this is the recap page I'm looking at. There were a couple of other things in there. There's a Ron Perlman as a zombie, like a Ghost Rider style Western bounty hunter with and it looks like it's all top down isometric, but with like a very heavy contrast. There's that Last Exit that we watched the trailer for. That's from the people that made Virginia that we did the full stream on. Looks real weird and interesting. There's a few other things that were going on. One of the big things was the announcement that all of the Final Fantasy 7 through 15, excluding 14, will be coming to Game Pass.
Excluding the one that was online.
Right. And that includes 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2, 12, 13, 13, 2, Lightning Returns, and 15. So I think it was 10 games total coming to the Xbox Game Pass over the course of 2020. I don't think any of them are out right now. In fact, I know none of them are out right now because I just went and looked. And then another big one was that Kingdom Hearts. The Kingdom Hearts 1 Mega Mix and Kingdom Hearts 2 HD, and then Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Birth of 350 / Tekken or whatever the fuck it's called. Those games that used to be on just the PS4 are going to be released on the Xbox as well. So Kingdom Hearts fans that don't have a PlayStation, it's a weird cross section of people, but you can, because Kingdom Hearts 3 was out on the Xbox. Was it out? It came out on the Xbox, right? But you couldn't get all the previous stuff previously because all that stuff was locked to the PlayStation. So that's all coming over. Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 2, those are all coming over to the Xbox. It's not super surprising to me, considering the fact that, was it at this year's E3 or was it last year's where they announced that they put it that they went to Steam, that they were on PC.
It was this year's.
Okay. I feel like the
rights are different for Zero and the Kiwami games,
right?
Whereas the rights for like the original version of Yakuza 1, Yakuza 2, 3, 4, and 5, probably those have to be Sony exclusive. But the way they,
yeah.
So I don't think we'll see the 3, 4, 5 HD collection on
the Xbox.
On the Xbox,
I was saying that I think that you might eventually. I think
it's possible eventually. Yeah,
that once the rights have, I don't know. The real question was Judgment on the Xbox One.
No, it was PlayStation exclusive.
Only? Okay, all right. Well, yeah. Who can say? I just think that these days companies are looking. I don't think that the console war is as hot as it used to be, and that companies are just like, God damn, there's a whole untapped console out there that we could be selling fucking copies of this game on.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of that, and then we had the Game Pass trailer. I like to announce whenever it comes time for Jeff and John to proselytize about Game Pass, but this time there was a whole trailer that was devoted to it. So in December, we're getting like Rage 2, the Lego
Ninjago, the movie
game, Remnant from the Ashes, which is that online Dark Souls game that was kind of interesting. Talos Principle. The crazy one to me is like, Age of Wonders Planetfall, which I think you and I played briefly, right?
Yeah.
Age of Empires 2. The Witcher 3 is going to be part of Game Pass.
Darksiders 3,
and Life is Strange 2 are all going to be on Game Pass in December, like just in December. So, like I say this all the time, but like, I feel like nowadays, people, we get that question from time to time that you and I have answered on the show where people are like, should I get an Xbox or should I get a PlayStation? And like these days, I'm like, if you skip the last generation, you should get an Xbox with Game Pass because there are enough games on that motherfucker to keep you going.
Also, My Friend Pedro.
Oh, yes, My Friend Pedro as well.
Life is Strange 2.
Yep. And then the Red Strings Club, which was a game that we played sometime way in the past on Rage Select. I think Amanda and I played it.
Yeah.
It was a real strange-o game. So yeah, the Yakuzas are coming, the Final Fantasies are coming, Minecraft Dungeons. I mean, all the stuff that we talked about, Flight Simulator, Bleeding Edge, Grounded, Wasteland 3, Ori. Just lots of stuff, man. I mean, hey, get an Xbox, then... But put it this way, Game Pass is quickly becoming a reason that you might want to purchase an Xbox. If you already own an Xbox, I don't think there's any good reason not to have Game Pass for the amount of games you get.
I agree with you completely on that, especially with the fact that now you can do that Game Pass Ultimate, which bundles it with gold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like...
Just get it all, man. Just
get it all.
Do it and go.
And then,
Oh, and you know what? They just announced that, like, okay, also, I swear to God, this is not just a commercial for Game Pass. This is something we talked about at the thing. They got a deal going on right now where they got that buy it for $1. It's the same deal. But then they're also adding a month worth of EA or access and 6 months worth of Spotify Premium and Discord Nitro if you sign up now for the Game Pass Ultimate. And it's just like, good Lord, Microsoft, how much money are you can't be making that much money off of this. I don't know.
So I feel like whatever this is if you have the Game Pass Ultimate, it's going to carry on to Scarlet. So it's like if you get Scarlet, you're already paying for it. Great, your membership doesn't change. Everything works just the way it was. You just log into your account on the Scarlet.
But they're going to like chuck it up by $5 if you sign up new. Oh
no, okay. I think it's going to be the same. I think it's. I honestly, I feel like they're trying to get people. They're willing to accept the losses now on on all these deals to get people locked in,
to get at least to build a certain amount of goodwill, so that when they
release the Scarlet, people are like, well, I already got Game Pass.
Yeah,
that's going to get me to access to all my Xbox One games and Xbox
and the 360 games.
360 games. Fuck, I might as well just get a Scarlet instead of a PS4.
I'll be honest with you, man. One of the reasons that I got an Xbox One X this year was because of Game Pass. And I remember when Game Pass first started, it was just like all the first party Microsoft games, and it was like, oh, so like 4 games a year. I mean, actually, that was still not a bad deal because it was like what, $7 a month or something like that, and it was like as long as you get Sea of Thieves, a $60 game once every like 6-7 months, like it's paying for itself.
Yeah.
And then they just started throwing all the rest of this shit on here. And then last but not least, the one trailer that you watched live, John.
I'm going to say this before we actually say what it is.
Yes.
I tuned in like right at the last second. They're like, we're going to end this show with a huge bang. We got a huge announcement, trailer, and it's a big one, everybody. It's huge, and let's go to it's Wasteland 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not huge.
Yeah.
That was the overselling of a lifetime.
Which let's be honest, it doesn't look like a bad game.
Oh no! I'm actually looking forward to playing Wasteland 3. I want to play it. It looks fun.
Yeah,
but
it's just not a showstopper. It's more of a niche game for Fallout fans.
Like I was literally expecting, like, again, the mic drop moment. I was like, oh shit! At least I tuned in for the mic drop, thing. It's the new Halo game, or it's some game that we haven't even heard of.
Yeah,
and no.
It's Wasteland 3.
Wasteland 3.
Looks good, though. They talked about how after they signed on with Microsoft, that Microsoft, I think they literally said in the interview that they turned on the money spigot. That they were, because they made Wasteland 2 on a Kickstarter, right? And then I think they did some kind of fundraiser or profits from Wasteland 2 for making Wasteland 3. And then Microsoft was just like, hey, how about unlimited money? How much money do you want to make this game better? So I actually think that this trailer looks a little bit cleaner than the E3 trailer.
Yeah,
that they put
it
out.
Does.
Just a little bit better. The main thing is Wasteland 2 was just very... I feel like I got a lot of choice paralysis in Wasteland 2 because there's just so goddamn much going on in it. So, and there were a few other things, but we're not going to go over all of them because we got a million other things. So that was XO19. Like I said, we've got more stuff is going to be coming over the weekend. So by the time this podcast comes out, it'll already be outdated. As we've said at the top, nothing show-stopping, but I mean, not a bad
nothing
show.
Bad. Like it was nothing bad. It was just if this was just like your standard Xbox, whatever the heck their Major Nelson live, they're basically their whatever their Nintendo
Direct
videos are called.
Yeah.
If it was just one of those and they had shown all this stuff, I would have been like, okay, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
But for like an actual event thing, it's a little underwhelming.
Well, I think that's why the state of play works better, is because it's just a trailer montage, right? Whereas with this one, they'd show a trailer, then they would bring the developers out on stage and talk with them for 5 or 10 minutes and then move on to the next one. And kind of old E3 instead of just blam, 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 blam. So... but not bad at all. And some of that stuff, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's going to be great. It's just a lot of stuff like we're talking about. Oh, no Double Fine, right?
No Double Fine. Yeah.
Signed up with them. And then, like, I didn't expect that to be the type of Obsidian game. I didn't expect the next Rare game to be that. I didn't expect a lot of this stuff to be the way it was. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So from there, let's do all the rest of the news that came out this week. And what do we got? We got... Okay, so we're moving into the controversy section, John.
Controversy.
It's time for controversy.
Oh, shit.
Yep. Over the weekend, did you see the hashtag GameFreakLied trending on Twitter?
No.
Okay. So apparently hackers, not hackers, but apparently some folks have gotten early versions of
course,
Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
And hackers have pulled some of the data off of the thing and looked at the character models for the game. And you know what? Let's back up for a second. There's a whole controversy that's been going on that we haven't talked that much about because honestly, I don't really know that much about Pokemon. But what it boils down to is this. Apparently in the Pokemon games, you have the Pokedex for the game, right? For the area of the game. These are the Pokemon that live in this area. These are the Pokemon that you can catch. Here's all the Pokemon. And then in addition to that, in the Pokemon games, there's the National Dex, which is like all the Pokemon that exist in the world of in the game world, right? So the game is going to focus on these Pokemon, but then there's all these other Pokemon that you could have from the previous games that you could trade with other people that you can get in different ways. Well, they announced that I think this is all right. I'm really going off of just descriptions I've read on the internet.
Go for it.
There was a story a few months back that they took the National Dex out of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So, like, the only Pokemon that are in Pokemon Sword and Shield are in the Galar region Pokemon.
Yeah.
And what that means is that a lot of people who have had Pokemon and that have been importing them or bringing them in from previous games, or they have their favorite Pokemon, probably not going to be in the game. It was a big cut. Like Jim Sterling was real mad that the snake.
When is Jim Sterling not mad?
Ekans,
Ekans.
Isn't in there. There's a different type of snake, but Ekans just isn't in the game. All right. Now there was a narrative that started to come up that the reason that this was because Game Freak said that they did this in order to rework all the Pokemon that were bringing the franchise to a console for the first time. They were going to remake all the Pokemon. They were going to redo the animations. They needed time. They just couldn't do all 6 billion Pokemon, so they had to pare it down to what's in the game. Work on that.
Yeah.
So people got access to Pokemon. They took a look at the game models. They pulled them out, and some people actually literally did like dumps of the models off of the game cartridge, and then compared them to the last 3DS game, which was it Moon, Sun and Moon, or
no, it wasn't Sun and Moon. It was
Black and White, or
no, what Black and White? Good God, what was it?
It was Sun and Moon. It was Sun and Moon.
Okay.
Yeah, and they found that the wireframes for the Pokemon are pretty much identical between the two of them. So this led to people saying that Game Freak lied, that you said that you needed to cut the number of Pokemon, and then all you did was just import them all from the 3DS game. You fucking scumbags. My favorite Pokemon isn't in the game. You're all a bunch of garbage. I hope you all burn in hell. Yes, I'm glad they're dead. That whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you do on Twitter. So now there's a second part to this, which is that some websites have reported, and I've looked into this a little bit, but I just didn't have 8 hours to go down a Pokemon rabbit hole today. But I've read a few articles that talk about how a lot of the interviews that are being cited saying that Game Freak said that they needed to rework all of the characters is not what they said. That they said that they needed to work on the game, and that time was not going into rebuilding every single Pokemon, but was going to be going into new features and making sure this console launch was going to be good, et cetera, down the line. So there's become this weird back and forth where fans have felt like there's also been some screenshots that have come out of showing like the environment, some of the textures in the world. Like there's this whole thing with the trees in the game kind of have a low poly or a low resolution texture on them, so they kind of look like shit, and then people are just like, see, Game Freak sucks. I kind of get the feeling when I was reading these articles, John, that I felt like I was talking with you about the WWE franchise, where like every year there's a new Pokemon game, and every year everybody that plays a Pokemon game is mad at Game Freak and Pokemon for the game, no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter what they do, there's something that they're mad about. Even if everything...
I do feel like it's different, though, than that. Yeah. Because, I mean, there's not a Pokemon game every year. There's a Pokemon game maybe once every, like, 2 or 3 years, maybe more. And 2, I'm pretty sure this game's going to be well-polished and really, really good when it comes out. Oh, sure, it might have some low polygon graphics here or there. Mm-hmm. WWE 2K20 was fucking broken. Like, it was broken.
Yeah.
Fundamentally broken.
Okay.
Every aspect of that fucking game is riddled with glitches.
Oh, guys, I poked the WWE bear.
Oh, no, I'm just saying. There's a difference is all I'm saying.
So, yeah, people are real mad about
of course,
this.
Yeah.
I don't really have a dog in this fight. Like, I think that if you...
I just want a fun Pokemon game, and that's what it looks like I'm getting, so that's all I care about.
Here's where I'm coming from. I've been doing this for a long time. Like, not even this podcast. I mean, I have been doing this podcast for a long time, but I've been a video game guy for a long time. I'm playing video games since I was a kid, right? I'm 40 years old now. I'm a man baby playing video games. If you get bent out of shape because a developer said something was going to be in a video game and then it ended up not being in a video game, then Sweet.
The thing is, they never said it was going to be. They specifically said it wasn't going to be.
Right. I'm even going to I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm just saying, my sweet, sweet summer child, do you not know that there's a huge difference between what some game developer says a year before a game comes out and then what you get in the actual product? Haven't you touched the stove enough to learn not to burn your hand by taking what these people say at face value? Like, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that you should be completely distrustful, but for fuck's sake, take it with a grain of salt, motherfuckers. I mean, like, and the last thing that you should do, and this is the part that I find hilarious, is go to the White House's website and start a petition for President Trump of the United States of America to stop the sales of Pokemon Sword and Shield in the United States.
Oh, go fuck yourself, whoever started that and whoever assigned it.
Okay. I want to say, for one of these petitions on the White House, on this White House website, to go through, it needs 100,000 signatures. This one has 327 as the point of this recording. So this was just funny to me. It was just funny to me, the text of it. I mean, it's always funny, right? Every change.org petition is funny. President Trump and Congress, the newest Pokemon games by Game Freak and Nintendo are negatively impacting the market with questionable decisions. We believe if the sales of the game were to stop, it will wake up Game Freak and we'll get quality back. This will set a bad standard in the markets if these were to get sold. We, as both Pokemon fans, but more importantly, as American citizens, believe this is violating our market rights and need something done about this. You got to stop him, Mr. President. Stop the evil man from messing up my dogfighting game for children. Sorry, Pokemon fans. I don't have a Raichu in this fight. But so that's where I mean, like, hey, you know what? It's entirely possible that they just ripped all the assets from Sun and Moon and they didn't do anything to them, and they got the same animations. And all I really give a shit about is the game fun? Like,
is it a Pokemon game?
Is it fun to play? If it's fun to play, I don't give a shit. Like, this is the problem with getting your expectations way out of whack. Like, I promised I wasn't going to do this, but I feel like there's a little bit of this with Death Stranding, where in the first hour you have to walk from one place to another. People are like, all you do is walk. You just walk for this entire game. You just walk. Look, he's walking, and that's what happens. It's not like you walk in any other video game. It's not like you go from point A to point B in any other video game. And I mean, you know, there's just walking. There's not any combat. There's totally combat. There's not any other way to transport cargo. Totally ways to transport cargo. Just anyway. So yeah, I wish you Pokemon fans all the luck and joy in the world, and I hope you have fun with your new monster fighting game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna buy it. Like, I'm hoping to.
You mean I didn't convince you with all my negativity and the hashtag?
No.
The hashtag didn't convince
Jeff,
you?
I don't think you understood that I don't really listen to what you're saying half the time.
Oh man, man. Well, speaking of not listening to what people are saying and Death Stranding, we also had a second controversy last week.
Oh,
when Hideo Kojima did an interview with an Italian game outlet, and he said, well, here's the problem, John. I don't think we really know what the fuck he said. He said something to a translator that said something to the interviewer in Italian that was then translated back into English. Now, when this first happened, the quote that was going around from this website that was pulling this is this. And this was talking about the reviews of Death Stranding. Quote, I have to say that the game received enthusiastic reviews, especially in Europe and Japan. Here in the United States, on the other side, we had stronger criticism. Maybe this is a game that is difficult to understand for a certain type of critic or audience. Americans are big fans of first-person shooters, and Death Stranding is not. It is flying higher. I always try to create new things, and disputes and discussions are fine, but it must be said that Italians or the French have a different artistic sensibility that allows them to appreciate this kind of very original product. Now, that's pretty condescending, right?
Yeah, that's a little condescending.
Fucking stupid Americans with your Call of Duty. You don't know what the fuck's going on. You get some culture.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Get some fucking culture in you.
I want to state that he's not wrong.
Yeah. That's kind of...
But it's kind of one of those things. It's condescending.
It is condescending. Also, though, there's been a thing where, like, IGN they had their own translator translate it again, like an independent translator, and then this is the translation that they came out with. I must say that the game has received some enthusiastic reviews, above all in Europe and Japan. Here in the US, instead, we've had stronger criticisms. Perhaps it's a game that's difficult to understand for a certain type of critic and some of the public. Americans are some of the biggest first-person shooter fans, and Death Stranding isn't that. Now, you'll notice that none of that is the we're this game's flying higher than you dumb shooty blam blam
and look at how artistic French and
right. Yeah. I think this is a little I got like 8 different things to say about this.
People are just looking at reasons to be upset.
I really do think that that's part of it. Number 2, I feel like this falls under the fucking Scorsese doctrine. Who gives a fuck what Hideo Kojima says? Who gives a fuck if Hideo Kojima thinks you're stupid? Was the game fun? Did you like it? That's all I care about. Hideo Kojima could be the biggest asshole in the world, and if he makes a game that I like, that's fine. I won't read any interviews with Hideo Kojima. He could be condescending as fuck. But if the game is good, then I'll play the game and ignore the man. That's all you have to do. Do you like it? Then who cares? Do you not like it? Well, fine. Also, as you said, he's not wrong. French movies are different than American movies, right?
And I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying, here in the U.S., a large portion of our gaming population, it's not the entirety of it.
No.
And even his quote didn't say the entirety of it. He said a large portion of it are people who play first-person shooters.
Or action games, yeah.
That's true. That is 100% true. And we're more predisposed to play those types of games here in the States.
Yeah. What I was saying was, okay, all right, this is pretty easy. You play, what was the last JRPG you played, John?
Last JRPG I played?
Yeah.
I played Astral Chain for a little bit.
Here, let me put it this way. It's easier. You know how Final Fantasy 15 starts out super slow and tutorializes for 4 hours and teases the story? And you know how a lot of JRPGs just do that? They start really slowly. And I feel like a lot of that is because Japanese audiences are more willing to put up with a very slow start to a game.
Kingdom Hearts 2, fucking hour and a half long fucking to get to the title card.
Right. Now, Modern Warfare, on the other hand, starts with a bang. You know, it starts out, it turns around, it puts a gun in your hand and go, 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 go. Right? A lot of American games start out a lot faster than Japanese games. Now, that's not to say that one is better than the other, but I do think there are differences.
Yeah.
And everybody knows.
There are also games where they start you off in a high fast-paced tutorial, and then once you get through the opening section, they'll even start you out fully powered up as a character, and you just do everything to tutorialize you, and then something happens in the story and it takes it all away, and then they go back to being slow.
Yeah.
So that's
a lot of it, and then you know what? I'm going to cop to this, right? Because everybody knows that I am a big old Kojima fanboy, so.
You are.
Before you start writing your comment, I know it, all right? And I like the guy's games. Regardless of what he says or his attitude, I like the games that the man makes. So I was more predisposed to liking this than I would be normally. So I'm really more but okay, where I was going with that is a lot of the criticism that I have seen on the internet has been very much just this fucking stupid slow game. It's just walking around game. It's a slow game. You don't even shoot anything in this game. You're just walking around with packages on your back. That's all you do in this game. There's not even any action. So it's you can't have it both ways where you're online saying there's no action in this game, and then the guy that made it is this audience seems to want action more than call it atmospheric artsy fartsy up my ass game, right? And then you're you can't say that. It's but there's that. I've read that criticism coming from people. Anyway, we got to move on.
I understand.
Let's see. From there, we're gonna kick it into high gear. Speaking of Death Stranding, we got the news. I think this is a first. Death Stranding is going to be on Steam and the Epic Game Store at the same time when it comes out on the PC.
Nice.
So it's going to be launching on both of them at the same time in 2020. I don't think we have a release date for it yet, but I can you think of a time that's happened before? I feel like it's always been exclusive or something old is coming to the Epic Game Store, but I feel like this is the first time you're seeing a high profile on both at the same time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Speaking of the Epic Game Store, apparently the Outer Worlds is doing very, very well.
Good.
Apparently it was they did an earnings call for Private Division, and they said it handily exceeded their expectations, which is great.
It's good because it's a really good game.
I want 100 DLCs for that game and a sequel. Let's see. From there's some kind of weird news. So Human Head Studios, do you remember them? They made the original Prey, not the reboot Prey. They also worked on like Brink and a couple of other weird games. They just put out a game called Rune 2 that's like a weird online action game. And apparently just they suddenly dissolved. They were just financially insoluble. They haven't had a really big hit game in a while. And Bethesda bought them and integrated them into their overall structure. Okay. So they've been put at a few different... They were added to some of the different teams inside, and then there was a separate studio called Roundhouse Studios that was developed inside of Bethesda. So pour one out for Human Head, but it's got a happier ending than most of these studio closure stories.
Is it a happier ending?
Well, yeah, I don't know. The thing about Human Head Studios is that they're not exactly like the triplest A studio that's ever existed. Like they made, you remember that Defiance game that tied into the sci-fi show? They made that. They made
wasn't very good.
The Quiet Man. They apparently worked on that. There's a game called Survived By that I had to look it up to remember. It's kind of like a top-down version of Rogue Legacy. Is that the one where when you die, your ancestors take over?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't feel it's like we're not losing a luminary in the industry, but it's nice that those people get to keep their jobs.
Yeah.
And Bethesda seems like they've got money right now, at least. Yeah. From there, we got some news last week after BlizzCon about Jeff Kaplan actually came out and said that he disagrees entirely with the whole Blitzchung suspension thing. Thinks that punishment should be rolled back or just done away with altogether. And I think this is really interesting because he's not somebody that can be fired or suspended, really.
No, Kaplan's pretty...
He's like the VP of Blizzard, so you can't just be like, hey, you got to take that tweet down.
Yeah.
Which is good. So
I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
From my time of working at Blizzard.
Yeah.
I've always liked Kaplan.
Oh, yeah?
He's always seemed like a nice guy. He actually is one of when the heads of Blizzard visited the Austin campus, he was the one that actually went on our lunch breaks and actually went and sat down and talked with every group of people that were sitting in the lunchroom.
Oh, cool.
And actually just having conversations. And not even about anything. Just like, hey, guys, what's up? You mind if I join you? Yeah, sure. Hey, so, what's going on?
Yeah, what are you guys into?
Yeah, genuinely, it didn't feel like someone going, hi, young impressionable minds, let me sit with you and tell you of all the ways Blizzard is awesome. Or,
right.
It actually felt like a genuine thing. He's a nice guy.
Okay. And then also, I mean, that might make people feel somewhat better that you've got somebody higher up in the company expressing a more palatable opinion than just kind of this shadowy stuff that's been going on. So, I don't know. Let's see. Red Dead Redemption 2 is getting has got a patch on the PC that's hopefully fixing some of the
stuttering and crashes.
Yeah, the frame rate and the crashes with the launcher and all that garbage. It's kind of amazing to me that Red Dead Redemption 2 is launched with such problems. It's the one thing that you would really want a kind of buttery smooth launch.
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact that the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 are both essentially just PCs. So you already had a modified PC version of the game. It doesn't seem like it would be, I don't know. Like, did they ever test it? Because what was it you that was telling me that like people that have like max rigs, like the fastest PC gaming rig that's out there, couldn't run the game with max settings turned on without it being choppy? It's like, well, Jesus, come on, guys. All right, and from there, we're just about out of time. Let's roll up with some trailers. We got a trailer for Sindel coming to Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah, Sindel.
Which looks pretty cool. It was funny. I was kind of watching this, and I was like, it's not that I'm not still excited for these things. It's just that these trailers are starting to blur together a little bit in my head. Especially when they're the older Mortal Kombat characters, but it's pretty cool. She got all these hair attacks and stuff, and it seems like it's pretty cool looking.
Yeah,
I don't know.
good.
I used to play Sindel back in the old days.
Yeah, looks like she fights like Black Canary, but with hair whips.
Okay, I can see that. And she's got some pretty brutal moves.
Yeah, her finisher's kind of brutal too.
We got a launch trailer for Shenmue 3, which it looks like it hasn't gotten. There was a point where it went from looking like pretty bad to looking okay, and I feel like it's never gotten better looking than that. Like, I almost feel like the way this game is made is like the dialogue and the pacing and the way that the characters are talking and stuff. They feel like the original game. It's just a better game engine. Like, it feels like a throwback. Like, even when the trailer is trying to be exciting, I feel like it's not exciting. But as I've said before, I haven't played the other games, so what do I know? Maybe if you played the games and you're super into the storyline, this is a super exciting trailer.
I played and beat the first Shenmue.
Yeah.
I never played Shenmue 2 because it was Xbox exclusive. Or it was Xbox and it was like limited release on Dreamcast.
Yeah.
I never got to play Shenmue 2. Yeah, I don't care anymore.
I also don't know that this is like. I almost feel that they shouldn't be releasing this now. Like, because this comes out like on Tuesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's right around the corner. That this is. It may not be Tuesday, but it's coming out in December.
Okay.
So like, it's right around the corner, and I just don't know that it's going to be a good holiday season to go up against.
Everything that's
Jedi Fallen Order, Death Stranding,
that's coming out within the last week or two.
Outer World, well, even other stuff, Outer Worlds,
Pokemon,
November 19th. Yeah, so it's going to be coming out on Tuesday after you hear this podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, Pokemon. So it's kind of just weird. Like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you set your game up for this? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Most of the people who are going to want to play this game probably backed it on Kickstarter.
That's true.
And they're going to get it through Kickstarter.
Yeah, but why? I mean, you might be able to pull in more of an audience if you put it out like maybe like mid-December even, but just not like the same.
And I also feel like anyone who is going to buy this game, even if they didn't Kickstart it, they're going to buy it anyways.
Yeah.
Anyone who would have been predisposed to buy this game is already going to buy it. Like, even if they're not playing it immediately, they're going to buy it and they're going to set it aside. They're going to play the holiday games. And then once there's a lull, they'll then pop it in. And
I guess I just feel like you could get it. Like, it just, obviously the people that want it are all going to buy it regardless, but that the other, to try to get other looky-loos to be like, what is this crazy game? I've always heard about Shenmue, blah, blah, blah. I just don't feel like now's a good time to do it. We got a release date for Watam. December 17th, which is the crazy game from the guy that made Katamari Damacy Nobi Boy?
Yeah. It's his next game, which no one really knows what it is because all of the trailers for it are so fucking obtuse.
Yeah. In this one, it rains a bunch of boxes on a guy and then a giant golden poop falls on him. Yeah. The end. December 17th. Did you play Nobi Boy?
No.
I was like, considering Nobi Boy was so fucking weird that, like, yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense. And then we also got a 10-minute trailer that's all in Japanese for Yakuza 7. There's a lot in here that I either don't understand or don't know, but the big thing that everybody's talking about is at the very end of the trailer, the Dragon of Dojima shows up.
Yeah.
And we see some Kiryu versus, I I can't ever remember the name of the guy who's the main character in this one.
Yeah.
Which, I hope that's just like a cameo. I hope that I really want this guy to have his own story. I don't want him to get too mired down in Kiryu. But this game still looks awesome. It's coming out in January in Japan, like we said before, and sometime next year in the States.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up with a couple of announcements real fast here. Wolfenstein Youngblood got a big patch this week.
Oh,
yeah, it's 1.07 update that puts in a new map with a new objective, and then that leads to a new set of objectives, new abilities, new enemy types, and all kinds of different stuff.
Okay.
And it's just a free update. It's a 1.07 update for Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Nice.
I enjoyed Wolfenstein Youngblood. So if you got it, you can go download this. Play some more Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Seems like fun.
That's the good news. The bad news is that as we talk about Jedi Fallen Order, they are not putting Jedi Fallen Order on the EA Access early access, the 10 hours up to 3 days before or whatever it is. Because if you have EA Access, you can get early access to games. I just remembered that I had that for Need for Speed the other day, but apparently the reasoning that they're not is because they don't want story spoilers before the game comes out. I think they saw what was happening with Mass Effect. I don't know, but that's the reasoning that they've said. So instead, you get $5 off the cost if you're an EA Access member and some free skins for the BD-01 or whatever the droid is called. And then a couple of just quick fun things. There's a guy online who's kind of remaking the beginning of Silent Hill 1.
Okay.
But it's a first-person game.
No.
It's kind of weird. There's a tech demo up online where it's kind of intricate. You should read the article about it where he said he went through and ripped the assets out of Silent Hill but then traced them all so that he wasn't just using another company's assets, and then turned the very beginning part of Silent Hill 1 into a first-person kind of adventure thing. I'm going to say the same thing I say every time one of these things comes up is I think that you've made a bad decision letting us see this, because I feel like Konami is going to be shutting you down almost immediately because they may not want to make Silent Hill games, but they don't want anybody else making Silent Hill games either. But
yeah.
In any case, it's kind of weird because it's like looking at a PlayStation 1 game, but from a first-person perspective. All the textures are still kind of muddy and stuff. This works out pretty cool. And last but not least, last week we got, or was it last week that we had the Terry Bogard Direct?
Yes.
So last week we had the Terry Bogard Direct, and they talked about how Mai from King of Fighters is not going to be in the game because it's a game for good boys and girls, and how the community did not like that. And apparently one of the things that they have done in response is they've started making Mai stages using the stage maker in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So they started making Mii fighter versions of her and weird stages where you jump on her boobs and fight and do stuff. So, I mean, I guess if you're that into it,
good job, Internet.
Yep. Don't tell the Internet they can't have anime boobs, John. They don't like that. They don't like that. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to answer some questions. So, stick around, everybody, and we'll see you in just a minute.
Yep.
John, are you ready for the questions?
Yes.
It's question time, John.
I am always ready for the question.
You are always ready for the questions.
I saw you sent out the message for questions.
Yes, I asked for questions, and then I was afraid with that XO19 that we weren't going to get to answer any questions, but then we did it all, and we're doing the questions as well. mail@rageselect.com is the email address to send your questions into, and our first question this week comes in from Swedish Latino, who says, "Hey, Jeff and John, I've recently been watching all the videos on the Sabaton History channel on YouTube, and some of the historical events they talk about make me wish that they made an Assassin's Creed game about them. For example, the Finnish Winter War, since the Finnish soldiers were very sneaky, so you would be a Finnish assassin on skis in the Finnish woods going around killing Soviet soldiers. I think it'd be fun, and the ski mechanic would bring something fresh to the series. So my question is, of course, where would you set an Assassin's Creed game? I encourage you to suggest something that isn't very well known. Let's say you're not allowed to pick China or Japan because everybody wants that. Hope you understand what I mean in my question. It was kind of hard to put into writing in my third language. Anyway, thank you for reading the question. And ha en underbar dag. I don't know what that means. You just made me say I'm stupid or something.
Oh, probably.
And it says Med van Liga Halsnigar from Swedish Latino. I'm sorry for butchering all of those words. I apologize in advance. So let's see. We haven't. When did the last Assassin's Creed game come out? Was that 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's the rumor. Yeah, and there's the rumor about the next one being the Viking one.
Oh yeah, yeah. But let's say you had your.
I don't think it's been confirmed yet. It's just still rumor. It's been like confirmed without actually being publicly confirmed.
Didn't they have something at E3 where they showed?
Maybe they did.
Like
I don't
know. A brief thing. I don't know. Anyway, let's say you had your druthers. Where would you set an Assassin's Creed game? What period? What time? What place would you set an Assassin's Creed game? There's a lot to choose from.
There is, but it's like I don't know.
Okay. I personally want to get to and I feel like they did this in 3 and 4, and then they kind of moved it back a little bit. I want to get to a gun era. Like I want to get past the past to a point.
Civil War. Actually, Civil War would be kind of interesting.
That would be kind of interesting. I feel like they probably, they kind of would maybe going in that direction.
Templars would be the South, and the Assassins would be the North.
Yeah. My personal answer is modern fucking day.
Well, I think that's everyone's personal answer at this point, is that this should have gone with a modern day game.
Yeah.
Because it really felt like they were building up for it, and then now people just don't care because no one cares. That franchise is not whatever it was originally intended to be.
Yeah. I do think that I mean, they had that one section in, was it 3, where you went to World War II briefly, where you glitched out, and it was like in Paris.
I thought that was Syndicate.
That was it, or was it Unity, or was it Syndicate?
I thought it was Syndicate. Well, maybe it was Unity. It could have been Unity.
It was one of those two.
Yeah.
It wasn't 3. I don't know why I was thinking that, but I think World War II would be interesting. I mean, there's a lot of Dirty Dozen, sabotage the enemy type of thing.
Hell, even World War One.
World War I would be interesting with the trenches and stuff.
Yeah.
Something. Well, it's weird because I feel like they've, with the prequel stuff, that they've kind of gotten away from the super tall Assassin's Creed games because you just don't have as many giant buildings in those eras as you did in some of the previous ones. But I definitely want to push it forward. Like Vikings, I mean, I like Vikings all right.
Well, I mean, we're already going towards right now. It feels like they're going they're like, okay, well, we don't want to keep doing, we don't want to go forward, we want to go backward,
right?
And I feel like they've gone too far back. Like, it's like they had the game that was like, oh, this is the origin of the assassins, and then they went, oh yeah, and this is one even or older than that. Or,
well,
no, it's not.
Odyssey was after Origins.
Odyssey is after Origins, but it just kind of felt like, but we're still kind of going in a even further back before there were actually ever assassins.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, we get it. You don't want modern times, and you're trying to run away from modern as far as possible timeline wise at this point. But
You know, be interesting would be. Oh wow, actually, I got an answer. I got my answer.
Actually, there is actually one. I don't know a time frame, but I would say like Russian.
That's what I was going to say.
Industrial Revolution Russia. Or
I was thinking Cold War.
Cold War Russia,
because you don't have. I mean, you would have like, you know, you'd have some people with guns, but it wouldn't be like a. You wouldn't have to deal with like if you did like a World War II game, you have like guys with machine guns, right? Whereas in here, if it was like, you know, because I think that formula would actually work well for real, like kind of maybe like Berlin, right? Like East Berlin, West Berlin, like going over the wall. And then you could have all the tall buildings and stuff. Get back.
Well,
to
I know
that.
that there was in the comics they actually had a Russian character.
Yeah,
like they actually had a character who was basically the same thing as Desmond, but he was and his ancestor was Russian,
right?
In the comics,
wasn't he like one of the bad guys in the 3, like in the mod? No, was it like one of the games had like modern day Desmond is actually doing stuff segments where you had to break into places and everybody had like shock batons, so they had the same combat. I feel like that guy was in there because he showed up and I had no idea who the fuck he was. And then somebody told me he's from the comics, and it was like, well, that seems like a bad idea.
There were actually multiple different comics that referenced it. But yeah, but I know that there was one that was specifically about like Russia during like, you know, dealing with you know, the rise to power of communism and stuff like that.
Well, if you actually set one in Russia during, I believe during World War I, then you could have like Rasputin be the bad guy, who would be like a good Templar. You know, he was like a weird wizard that wormed his way into the court.
And we already established, that he had one of the apples.
Right. So yeah, I mean, you could totally do that. But I like the Cold War because you go with the 80s aesthetic that's big right now, and then it also would be a way for me to get that that Rockstar game that never got made that was supposed to be Cold War 80s spy stuff.
Agent.
For the PlayStation 3 that was rumored, announced, and then canceled. I just anything where we're not doing more axes, any era where holding an axe is a stupid thing to do. I don't want that anymore. I don't want to be in axe times. I want to be in post axe world for the Assassin's Creed series because of course the Finnish War would be really interesting because I don't know if they've ever done just like full snow, huge amounts of snow. I mean, some of that in Assassin's Creed 3, but like it's been very urban, and then the Greek stuff and the Egyptian stuff was all very kind of temperate. Yeah. So like you could do that. You could probably come up with a lot of interesting stealth mechanics when you had snow, about hiding in the snow, going up a tree, that kind of thing. Use that climbing mechanic. I don't have a lot of faith in Ubisoft anymore, though.
No.
They've really gone into a weird place where I don't like most of the games that they make.
Well, all their games are kind of, for a while there, were just kind of all the same.
Yeah.
Like, there was the joke that even their fucking racing game had towers.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. There you go, Swedish Latino. Let's see. Marcus writes in and says, "What up, Jeff and John? I'm mad as hell and I can't take it anymore." Just kidding. I believe it's time for a video game Bill of Rights. We, as people of all backgrounds who enjoy video games as a passion, should have a right to video games that work, right to games that do not microtransact us to death, and a right to express freedom of speech and gaming, and especially the right for those who create our games to do so without harassment or poor working conditions of any kind. This should not be imposed by any government, but as a symbolic gesture combining the forces of the internet for good to let people know we care about games and people who make them. How do you feel about this, Jeff and John? Keep up the good work. Power to damn players. Yeah! This is from Marcus. He says, "P.S. Your God of War playthrough is awesome and hilarious. Don Cleese would be proud." Well, thank you very much. I like playing God of War a lot. What do you think, John? The video game Bill of Rights, video game Gettysburg Address, maybe 407 sequels ago, our Final Fantasies brought forth upon us a new MMO conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that no microtransactions will be in any video game. The problem is that, you could write that down and everybody could sign it, and then nobody would do anything about.
Yeah.
Nobody would listen to it. I mean, like, I think that anybody. Let me put it this way. I think anybody, especially going to that last... okay, let's just take it in order. I don't think that any company is going to be like, well, we'd love to put microtransactions in this game, but those video gamers, they signed the Video Game Bill of Rights, and it would be unethical for us to nickel and dime our customers with microtransactions now that they've all banded together with their Video Game Bill of Rights. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of you, Marcus, but I'm just saying it's a great idea, but I don't see how you would ever enforce such a thing.
Yeah.
You know, you could say we as gamers will not harass devs anymore. Even no matter how mad we get, we will not at them on Twitter and call them names. And nobody's going to do that.
Then 5 seconds later, you'd be like, Steve, what are you doing? We just talked about this.
And then Todd Howard says something. I mean, yeah, like, I don't think that the people that are going to I don't think the people that harass devs online are going to sign your Video Game Bill of Rights or abide by its multiple amendments and provisions and clauses online. So, it's a nice idea. If we lived in a reasonable world where people, were normal to each other, then maybe, but, I don't know. I think that you just have to be the change you want to see in the world. So if you don't want game developers to be harassed, just don't harass them.
Yeah, don't harass them.
If you don't want microtransactions in your game, don't buy games that have microtransactions in them.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do. Paul writes in and taunts me, John. He tasks me. He says, hey, Yankees, listening to last week's podcast, I was confused about which games are making a lot of money. Is there something like a top 5 box office that you could do? On to French fries. Here in Canada, we had French fries at our Taco Bells. Cheesy fries, fries supreme, probably their answer to poutine. Have you ever had poutine? Want to? Want fries at your Taco Bells? That's from Paul.
Yankees?
I don't know.
We're not from New York.
He's from...
We're not northern.
He's from Canada. He's northerner. He's norther than we are.
Yeah,
we're good old boys.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know what to call Austin, Texas.
Southerners.
Yeah, I suppose.
Cowboys. Rednecks.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take it. It doesn't matter to me. You can call me whatever you want. So okay. So let's get to the French fries. Taco Bell has had French fries.
Yes, they have.
Here in America, but they treat it like one of the specialty menu items where they bring it.
It goes away and then it comes back.
It goes into the vault. We can't fry
you don't know about
fries.
You can't order it for like 6 months and then suddenly it comes back.
Oh my God.
Like the McRib.
Taco Bell fries are back with the cheesy dipping.
Yeah, so
queso.
they got fries and then they got like the some type of seasoning on the fries.
Yep.
And then they have like the cheese dip that you normally
queso.
dip their chips in, but it's just like their cheese dip. It's not even queso, it's cheese dip. There's a difference between cheese dip and queso. And if you don't know the difference, then there's a problem, Jeff. I have to question whether or not you are a Yankee.
Look, I'm just saying this for somebody who doesn't, who may not know. It sounds like he has actual French fries at his Taco Bell. Yes, you're right. It is orange. It's mildly cheese flavored. And it doesn't seem like if you left it out that it would ever go bad, that it would probably be fine even after 30 years sitting open on your counter. You just scrape the sludge on the top off and dip your new fries in there. I have a real fucking problem with the Taco Bell fries.
I actually like the Taco Bell fries, but that's just me.
Well, my fucking problem with it is that I kind of like the fries too, but the box they put the fries in has this real low scoop on the front. So like the minute that the fries go into it, they immediately just start getting cold because there's this huge window for the heat to come out of the French fries. And so by the time you get home, it's like you got to eat them first because they're almost cold. And then when they get cold, they're gross.
Okay.
I don't know. What is the current thing at Taco Bell?
Oh, I have no idea.
There was double chalupa Xbox One Xbox for a while there.
Yeah, I know that. I know that now there is no person at the register. If you go inside the Taco Bell, There's actually like a kiosk, and you order it like you're ordering digitally on a phone.
Nice.
And then
you don't even have to talk to a person.
No, you don't. It's great because, you can actually like customize it in a way that the people at the register never would.
Right.
So like, it's like if I want like, I can order this fancy chicken gordita supreme, no sour cream, remove all the things that make it supreme, and
right.
still pay the extra money for it. Or I can, order something and change it into something that's no longer on the menu.
Yeah.
Which I have and do regularly.
There you go.
But yeah, and it ends up being cheaper. But yeah, so that I don't know what their actual current thing is. I
think nacho box, maybe.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Have you had poutine?
I have. We actually have a restaurant here in Austin that does sell poutine.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called or where it is. I know it's downtown.
Okay.
But I went there once. I know there's like a food truck that also sells it as well. We're kind of a foodie town.
Yeah.
So if you ask us, have you ever had this? I can almost guarantee you there's a food truck that sells it.
Probably.
And we could go eat it.
Probably.
If we wanted to.
Anybody who doesn't know, poutine is French fries with cheese curds and brown gravy on top.
Yeah, I don't really care for.
I had it once. My problem is I don't like soggy fries.
Yeah.
And I thought the cheese curds were going to be a lot wetter than they were the only time that I've had it, and they actually ended up being drier.
Yeah. I'm also kind of not really a fan of cheese curds.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I am a fan of cheese.
I will say though that like chili cheese fries, you can sign me up any day of the week for those. Put a bunch of queso and chili on top. And
I'm okay if you have the fries and you take the cheese sauce and you just pour cheese sauce over it.
It's like nachos but fries.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
But nothing else?
Yeah, no, nothing else.
But just like ground beef.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on just nachos in general?
I like nachos as long as it's chips, cheese, and maybe some sort of meat component. I don't do salsa or
what about jalapenos?
I don't do jalapenos.
Like there's like a circle chips with like the Rico brand cheese flavored sauce on top from the movie theater, and it costs $8.
Yeah, those are fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, we actually make like homemade nachos like all the time, like regularly. We get like the shredded chicken that normally goes on like you're supposed to make like flautas out of that you buy at like H-E-B or grocery store. We just put that over it, and then like we have like various cheeses that we put over it, and then put it in the oven for a little bit, and then we take it out, and then we have cheese dip that we then pour on top of that.
Oh, double cheese.
Yeah, so you have the regular like shredded cheese that's melted, and then you have the actual like
the
queso
liquid
cheese.
Okay.
Like liquidy cheese.
That actually, Binging with Babish did a thing from The Good Place where she had nachos and he made like a big nacho thing. And this is the first time I'd ever run into it, of shredded cheese and then liquid cheese on top of the shredded cheese.
That
sounds great.
That's how I've always done that.
Do you get the pre-shredded cheese?
Yeah. So we typically buy whatever restaurant style corn chips.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get the Texas shaped chips. Sometimes we get
fancy.
Yeah. Sometimes we get other stuff. But then like we get the pre shredded cheese. Sometimes we'll do the Taco Bell mixed cheese thing that Kraft has or whatever. I don't know why it's labeled with Taco Bell, but it's
Taco Bell brand. So do you know that you shouldn't buy the pre shredded cheese? Because it's got a powder on it to keep it from like coming back together that doesn't make it melt as well as if you just grate cheese.
Yeah, but we're not going to have a giant cheese wedge in our house, so.
You're not?
No.
You don't want a giant cheese wedge?
No, I don't need a giant cheese wedge.
You do know that you can buy just like a very small amount of cheese and not like a big wheel.
I don't mean like a wheel. I'm just saying like a brick of cheese. We don't need like a brick of cheese.
Okay. Now I want nachos really bad. I'm gonna have to go to Taco Bell after we're done here. So yeah, poutine.
It was all right.
I've had it. It's okay. I'm more of a nacho cheese kind of guy than a cheese curds kind of guy as well. So, and then do you want fries at your Taco Bell? I don't see. I think this
care.
is more of your question, right? Because you've got the thing about getting the fries it's getting the tortillas from Taco Cabana.
To queso and tortillas from Taco Cabana, and then
the French fries,
the chicken fries from
Oh, the chicken from Burger King.
From Burger King.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So that doesn't do anything. That doesn't. There's no shortcut there for you because you want the chicken fries, not the. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, I tell you what. Let's roll over onto some Discord questions.
What up, Discord people?
John, I'm going to need you to help me with this. I'm pretty sure that we didn't ask this question last week, but because I can't mark questions on the Discord, maybe I should just start putting a thumbs up when I answer a question.
That might be a good idea.
I think that we didn't answer this one. I don't think that we answered this one last week, but let me know if it sounds familiar.
Assume that you're right.
Puffin Stuff272 says, "Dearest hosts, not sure if this question will get to you before Death Stranding is released, but screw it. I see a lot of people roasting Death Stranding for gameplay that can be repetitive and or simple. Even reviewers who look favorably on the game can see these points. My question is, does having deliberately unfun aspects to your game for storytelling purposes make a game bad? Should a game's primary goal always be to have fun for the player? Thanks for the perspective." And that's from Ryan. I don't think we asked this last week.
No, we didn't. It started off in a way that I was like, we've answered questions like this.
Yeah.
But I don't remember you asking a question from that person, and then it went into a totally different direction that I wasn't expecting. So, no, we didn't answer it.
Okay.
Similar questions, but...
What do you think? Does a game always have to be... Does it have to focus on pleasure, immediate pleasure? And maybe the question, modify this question a little bit, is because, okay, guys, we're all just gonna have to take it for granted that I like Death Stranding a lot. I beat it, I played it, but I know a lot of people who have had a good time just with the walking because they find it relaxing, right? Yeah. Just walking through the environment from place to place. And I'm not going to go off on a rant about how it's way more than that, even though it is way more than that. There's all kinds of obstacles in your way, and it's not just like hold down the stick and then go. But some people like Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah.
I think Animal Crossing is boring personally, but some people like Animal Crossing. So the first question here becomes, like, what does I was complaining to Michael the other day. We were talking about Death Stranding. I feel like every time that you start talking about Death Stranding, you end up sounding like some kind of highfalutin monocle wearing, wine sipping art critic, because it's just like, well, before we can answer the question about whether Death Stranding is fun, we must ask ourselves first, what is fun, John? What makes a game fun? What is amusement?
So the question specifically is,
yes.
Is it bad for someone to put a mechanic that's not fun in your game?
Yes.
I have to say this, if it depends, because I think if I'm playing it and I'm getting no satisfaction from it, like at all, period, like not from the story, not from whatever, because you could say, what is it, that game, Getting Over It? Or Get Over It, or whatever.
Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy?
Yeah, with Bennett Foddy. That game's fucking terrible. If you actually look at what it is not a fun game. But people have fun playing it.
Yes.
Because the fact that it's not fun is part of the fun, in a way.
Yeah. I think a really good example of this is Papers, Please.
Yeah.
I don't think Papers, Please is fun at all. At all. But it's an incredibly interesting game. It makes you feel a lot of things, even though that feeling is not
and that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that I don't think that the mechanic has to necessarily be fun.
Yeah.
But it does have to spark something.
An emotion.
Whether it be an emotion that like it can't just be just not fun.
Yeah.
Like it has to, like you said with Papers, Please, it has to spark an emotion that makes you go like, oh, this is interesting. Or like with Getting Over It with whatever.
Bennett Foddy.
With Bennett Foddy. The experience of trying to do better than everyone else that's doing YouTube videos on that game, you're having fun with that. You're having fun at the stupidity of it, or playing Surgeon Simulator, or or Octodad, or whatever game where the WSAD games where they basically it's
like
purposefully obtuse, and not at all fun. Like the mechanic itself is not fun, but they made the game fun around it, and not necessarily in a fun way. It just became fun. I don't think there's a problem with that. Like if you there has to be some entertainment value, whether it's entertainment in I never thought about it in this way, and makes you think about it in the way that Papers, Please.
Yeah.
Because that can be entertaining. So, even if it's boring and not fun, it can be entertaining because you're thinking about, this is what this is like.
Right.
If it's entertaining, then it's fine. But if you're making a game that the mechanic is purposefully bad and the rest of your game is bad as well, then
it's interesting to think about because, like, I was thinking about Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah.
And like Spec Ops: The Line is not a super good shooter, right? It's a kind of a middling third-person shooter. But all the stuff that's happening around that is engaging. There's a lot of stuff that's not the actual act of shooting that is engaging. Or I was thinking about Grave of the Fireflies, right? Is a fine film, and it's an interesting and engaging film. It's also a drag and a half. Like, it is not a fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it is a dour, like, very depressing movie about a child starving to death, essentially. There are lots of movies that are about that. Like, what's that Dancer in the Dark, that Bjork movie where it's like she's working in a factory to buy art materials for her son, but working in the factory is making her go blind, and by the time her son is able to create these masterpieces, she can no longer see. And I'm just like, I've never seen it. I had a friend of mine who was just like, you should watch it. And I was like, why? I don't want to slit my wrist. But like, there's movies that are not exciting. There's movies that are not just like, but then also people get different amounts of enjoyment out of different things. That's one of the things that really is kind of frustrating about this question about Death Stranding is that, like, I don't play visual novels for fun. That doesn't mean that visual novels have no value as games, just because I personally don't think they're the greatest games of all time. There are lots of people who love visual novels, and like, I just fucking sit there and read a story, and then you look at some fucking anime titties, and that's your game. All you do is just read and then look at pictures. Like, that's not a video game. That's a book. That's a children's book. But like, it's not for me. And so I think that the problem here is that we're getting into this thing with the conversation about Death Stranding has become this thing where it's like people get fun out of different things. So the question specifically of like, does having a deliberately unfun aspect of your game for storytelling making the game bad? A lot of it comes down to that word fun, because not everybody has the same fun. Some people have fun going outside and playing sports. Some people have fun staying inside and reading books. Some people have fun, singing. Some people have fun dancing. Some people have fun fucking street racing, right? Like, so the idea that there's this one way to make a game is, to me, a weird starting place to have this conversation, because but I do take your there are a lot of games out there that have things that are more tedious.
I feel like,
right?
Because I feel like the question is less about making something not fun, and it's more about making a bad mechanic or is what the word he used, purposefully making a mechanic bad.
The game's primary goal will always be to have fun.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like,
right, no, I get you.
And also, I don't think Kojima looked at him and said, I'm going to make this the least fun experience that anyone's ever going to have because it serves the story purpose. I don't think he said that. I think he said, okay, this is what I want to happen. And he went, how can I make this as engaging as it can be for Kojima? However pretentious or not pretentious you want to consider it being or whatever, there is clearly, I haven't played it. Yeah. I haven't even looked at it. I haven't watched any playthroughs. I haven't seen anything.
You haven't watched the Rage Select playthrough of
Fuck no. I don't look at anything on Rage Select. No, that's a lie. But it's one of those things where they're clearly listening to you talk, and also some reviews that I've read that have been spoiler free.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's just press the stick forward and then keep moving forward until there's more to it than that. So it's not that, and that it is engaging, but it's also not just the mechanic of what you're doing that's engaging. It's everything. And so I don't think he went, I'm going to make this the least engaging walking simulator game ever because I'm Kojima and fuck you.
Yeah.
I think it's a case of him.
I'm Kojima. The French will understand me. Sorry.
But I don't know. Like I said, I also feel like there are games where they purposefully will make game mechanics that are not fun, and that's the point of the game. Like, but when you do that, you have to be very specifically doing that for a reason, and then you have to, the game developer would then need to compensate that with other aspects. With Papers, Please, it's this very interesting story about what you're doing, and it's actually telling you about something. Like it's explaining the life of a person that you don't think about in those situations.
Mm-hmm. Or like there's a game called Cart Life that's another one of those games where it's like you run a food cart, and the whole thing in the game is that you just can't afford to live your entire life, and so you've got to make these really terrible decisions about like, what do I sacrifice because I just don't have enough money? And it's not a fun game. Like it's not meant to be fun.
Yeah, and then you have games that are where like I mentioned earlier, like Surgeon Simulator or Octodad or whatever, where they compensate that mechanic not being fun with not only being the joke,
right?
Is that it's the game is a joke, but like the thing that's the joke is the impossibility of the mechanics,
right?
And that's why it's fun, and that's the thing, is that I feel like you can make games with bad mechanics that are fully engaging and fully fun and entertaining. I don't think it's necessarily a sin, but it does need to be like something else to the game that compensates that.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I actually also think I've been so wanting to make a video about the mechanics in Death Stranding and how they all fit together, because there are a lot of mechanics like you're talking about that make the game more that it frustrates me to no end, because the idea that the game is described as a walking simulator, but there's so much more than that. Like, it's not just I'm at point A, point in the direction of point B, hold stick forward, get to point B, pick up. It's not like Warcraft, right? It's not like you're just going from one place to another. In any case, I'm about to start going in a bad direction. Let's see. Jonathan Scratch writes in and says, "Hey, Spectacular. Jeff and John, I've got a meta question for you. What are some storytelling tropes that you just eat the fuck up, particularly from games, but other media as well? Personally, I love it when games give you a safe hub, then have an energy storm. Wolfenstein: The New Order does it perfectly. Or exploring secret labs where science and magic meet in unholy union. Stay great as always, Jonathan Scratch." And it says, "P.S. I hope to see some supplies and structures built by Rage Select and Death Stranding. You always earn a like from this porter." Thanks, Jonathan Scratch. So what are some stuff? What's exactly the question here? Some storytelling tropes. I feel like the stuff on the description. What are some storytelling tropes that you're super into that always kind of push your buttons? I tell you what, man, I've been watching My Hero Academia, and there's a certain amount of the kind of just like unbridled optimism that you might read in like a Superman comic or something that you see out of like Deku and All Might in My Hero Academia, and that stuff just puts a smile on my face every time I see it. It really. I cannot count the number of times that I've teared up in My Hero Academia, starting in episode 2. When All Might tells Deku that he believes in him and he can be a hero, and it's just like, oh man, anybody can be a hero. That's great. Like that shit tears me up in Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. When Miles finally becomes Spider-Man, like it does it there. It does it. I know that it's not the same for you. It does it in Thor Ragnarok when Thor flashes back to his father, before the very big climactic finale. That kind of like that moment of just like self-discovery is really that's a big one. That's a big one in my book. I'll definitely say that those definitely get my shit going.
typically love it when games will, without actually breaking the fourth wall, will get like almost get a little meta, but like not quite. Like, you know, like it'll almost like change genre as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, and then allows you to like
what? Like, give me an example.
Fallout 4, the whole Silver Shroud thing.
Oh, okay.
Like that, where it just suddenly your character's even making jokes. Like you get options to make jokes. Like you're totally in a gritty vigilante noir thing. Like I love it when games do that, where they give you this option to be a little, to kind of change it up a little bit.
It's like role play within your game.
Yeah. Like where your character can role play within your game.
Okay.
I like that shit. Also, I just like noir, and I like comedy, and I like when, you know, that kind of thing.
Are you interested in that Black Sad game comes out next week?
Yeah, no, I fucking love the comics that it's based on.
Okay, I think that when the first trailer for it came out,
I thought that game got pushed back though.
I've had some varying things because I feel like
I'm pretty sure Black Sad got pushed back until next year,
because there's still a Steam release date for it that says like next week, but I don't.
Okay, I don't. Just be honest, I know like the console version of it, I think got pushed back till next year.
I think that I remember when it was supposed to come out in October, and then it did get pushed back to November. But yeah, I could be wrong. I don't know. It's just I've been tracking what games are coming out as I do.
Yeah. But no, I've been actually looking forward to that game because I fucking love the comics that it's based on. Because I am a fan of them.
I think the trailer, I mean, like no shade or anything, but when I first started watching the trailer, it was like, it's a furry game. And it was like, no, this just seems like a hard-boiled noir game with just happens to have a bunch of animals in it.
The reason it's using animals is because it's using animals to get around racism.
Interesting.
There's total racism in the game. Like, it's hardcore racism in the game.
Like,
or not in the game, but in the story.
From some animals against other animals type of thing.
Yeah, like, it's instead of saying, like, oh, it's... Because it's trying to be, literally, there's no reason for them to be animals. Mm-hmm. This could be a story. These comics that it's based on could totally just be people, and nothing would change.
Okay,
like people in the 1940s or 1930s or whatever year it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
and it would make sense. Like, there's no reason. It's just he decided to make them animals, and then and then kind of created a hierarchy that it allows him to show racism without it being as such a hit, but still being like you realize what's going on.
Okay,
it's really good. Like I and everything I've seen about that game. I mean, it looks like a Telltale style game, but everything I've seen about it looks pretty spot on with the comic. And like I said, I'm a sucker for anything noir, Raymond Chandler, whatever style.
Okay. I was actually thinking of the when you talked about the Silver Shroud, it reminded me of another trope from Fallout 3 that I think answers this question, which is the surprise horror segment.
Oh yeah.
Like in Point Lookout, you have to go like get the Necronomicon to stop Cthulhu. There's like a weird side story where it suddenly turns into Eldritch horror for like 2 missions in the game. I really like it when a game will just kind of go a little wacky off into one direction.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when games do that. When you're playing a game and it's a good game, and then suddenly there's this one little side mission that doesn't really impact the main story, and if you don't do it, it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't change anything. But if you play it, it suddenly it changes the genre of the game a little bit.
It's one of the things I love about Max Payne 2. Yeah. When it gets all fucking, like, it goes between just hard-boiled Max Payne, and then suddenly it gets all freaky and psychedelic, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, the first one even did that a little bit.
With the flashback stuff.
Yeah, well, with the dream sequences. Max, you're in a video game.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have to run on the trails of blood and not fall off the edges.
That's true. That's true. Let's see. Inner Slicey right then says, hey, Jeff and John, I was replaying Resident Evil 4 the other day, and man, it's amazing how immersive the knife fight with Krauser is. It really puts you on your toes and gets you into the mindset of being in a knife fight. No real question, just lamenting that a lot of games never really used QuickTime mechanics to their full potential. That's true. I feel like QuickTime events got brought in and then abused, and then everybody got sick of them, and then they went away.
I feel like, some games still use QuickTime events, but I feel like,
Yeah. Like RE4 was good. I liked the way that that they changed the buttons, that it wasn't always like it would be like the boulder is chasing you, Leon. You have to hit the A button really quickly and then hit the B button to jump at the last second. And then it's like, oh, I messed that up. And it's like, all right, well, we'll just try it again. But this time you have to hit the L and R buttons like back and forth real fast. That's what God of War. Well, Shenmue had that, right? The
little bit.
QuickTime event thing. God of War was like the one that I really remember as being like one of the first real big front and center ones.
Yeah.
But RE4 did a really good job. There's something to be said about it. But then like I went back and I was playing Final Fantasy 13-2.
Yeah.
And it starts with this big cut scene where Lightning is fighting this guy in Valhalla, and there's just weird QuickTime sequences that you got to do, and I'm like, why is this here?
And then you have Azura's Wrath.
Oh yeah,
that's QuickTime scenes the game.
Yeah, this is the very pinnacle of QuickTime events. Yeah. All right, well, I'll tell you what. I got a couple of questions here. We got about 15 minutes left. To tell you what, this is a big one. Let's see if we can get through this one.
Let's do it.
And we got maybe one more. Devilishly Handsome writes in and says, "Dear Jeff and John, what is your..." This is such a minefield, but I'm dedicated podcast time. What is your opinion on the stance of keep politics out of video games? I think politics surround us every day, and it's just a matter of how strong it is present. Video games have always been political. Hell, one of the most successful games that is very political is BioShock. I don't understand why some people make a fuss about video games being political when there's always been a bit of politics hidden everywhere in entertainment. Even ultraviolet games like Doom have political statements or satire hidden in them. The only time it annoys me is when a game tries to act political while having nothing to say. I'm looking at you, Far Cry 5. Thanks for answering my question. Keep up the great work. It's from Devilishly Handsome. And then they say, P.S., do you think you and Amanda can play Catherine Full Body as a sequential? It's a really good remix of the original story and adds a fun twist with a third girl. Love to hear your discussions you two would have about relationships and weird horror stuff. There wasn't a dojo on it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. I think I did a dojo when they re-released Catherine as an HD, but they did that whole thing, and then Catherine Full Body came out like 6 months later. I don't know, man. That's a weird one because yeah, there's all that cutscene stuff, but then in between, there's just this weird puzzle game. Yeah, that
weird Cubert puzzle game.
Which is, I found, I think I played it with Chris maybe, and it was like very difficult to play and talk at the same time because whatever part of my brain makes the dick jokes is the same part of my brain I use to figure out the puzzle tower with the sheep on it.
That's why Portal 2 never worked.
Yeah. Something about puzzle games makes it really hard to talk. I don't know if it just requires more of my brain to deal with.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to talk and play at the same time. Anyway, politics and video games, John. Just can't go badly, right?
No, I mean, I'm going to say it's kind of... They've always been there. Even if you don't think they are, they are.
Yep.
Yes, there are games that don't have politics, but even then, they kind of do. Any form of entertainment, TV shows, Star Trek, comic books, they all have fucking politics in them, and they've always had politics in them.
Sure.
Get over it.
Like a bad human being, I tend to sit in the middle of this thing because I do understand being irritated when it feels like a game is preaching at you or trying to
I get that.
Or like Far Cry 5 where a game has some kind
where
of
it feels like it's wanting to preach at you, but then it's just saying everything is the same,
right?
It's preaching at you that
it's literally preaching at you.
Yeah, it's like it's like preaching at you hey, you're wrong, everyone's wrong, no one's right. Maybe the only right way to live is to not play. Maybe
the only way to really win this game is to not ever play this game. And it's like, fuck you, I spent $60. Tell you what, you give me back my $60, I'll give you back your video game, and then we can not play it. So I do understand, especially in the time and place in which we live, it feels like it's hard to exist in this world without being constantly inundated by something happening, regardless of your stance on politics. It feels just like all day, every day, there's some shit happening and that somebody's telling you about it. And so I can kind of understand people that want to just go to an escapist thing without having to have the issues that they think thrust into their face. But on the other hand, I'm with you when almost every piece of art comes from a specific culture which specifically has a political bent to it. And so there is always an undercurrent of something happening in most art that's out there. I think that people get a little I think that the thing that the place where I draw the line is that people who get so upset at the idea that anything could have politics in it. Like, I kind of feel that, I feel like there's a lot of politics that I've run into in the world, but I also do that to myself. I'm on Twitter. I look at what's trending on Twitter. I listen to political podcasts. So, like, if I wanted to get away from politics, I could probably just not do that anymore and just cater to things that felt more apolitical. But, I don't know. I largely have stopped engaging with any of this just because, I don't know. Yeah, it's exhausting. Anyway, so let's finish up with a real quick one here. Let's see. This person didn't sign. Oh, Nana. Nana says, "Hey Jeff and John, this is Nana. My question is, wait, are you a Nana, or is this a show for Nanas?" Nana, my question is, if you were a kid around the age of 13, what video game in the current day would you think would be your favorite game? If you were 13-year-old John, what game would be your favorite game that you are playing like crazy right now?
Probably, funny enough, not a game that I play.
Yeah.
Like Fortnite or Apex Legends, because it seems that's what all the kids are playing these days.
I'd probably be playing Fortnite as well.
Yeah.
This is back when because you want to be cool, right? All your friends are playing Fortnite. You want to play some Fortnite, right?
Yeah.
But asking my parents for one of those phones that can play Fortnite.
Well, it's just like back in the day, like when I was like 13 or whatever and playing games. What was I playing? I was playing Quake 2, Quake 3. I was playing Unreal. I was playing, Unreal Tournament. I was playing first-person shooters.
Yeah.
With my friends. We'd all take our computers over to someone's house and we'd play, we'd have LAN parties and like play first-person shooters against each other. So yeah, of course, if I was 13 years old, I'd be playing the first-person shooter games of today, of Fortnite, and especially if they're free to play.
Right.
Oh my God, like that would have fucking blown my mind as a 13-year-old. A full-on first-person shooter that I can play and not have to pay a dime for.
Yeah.
To play it. Holy shit.
Actually, you know what? I think
mind you, I didn't pay a lot of money for a lot of the games I played when I was 13.
We all have the sins of our youth, John. Let's not go into that too much.
But I'm just saying, at least, Quake 3 demo that you could do things to get the whole game.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I can say that I probably would only have one console, right? So I probably wouldn't. The Switch would not be a part of this equation. I would probably have like a PS4 or an Xbox. And I probably wouldn't have a PC. You know what? Overwatch might be the one. It would probably be a multiplayer game though, right? If I was 13 now, because I got burned out. I mean, I used to play Counter-Strike, I didn't play anything but Counter-Strike for like 2 years straight. And then after that, we all moved on to Battlefield 1942, and then there was the MMO craze where we were all playing WoW and EverQuest and stuff. It was very social games for a long time, and then I finally just got burned out on them. So if I was 13 today, I think either Fortnite or Apex or Overwatch probably. Yeah, maybe totally. Minecraft. Minecraft. Yeah. So yeah, and that's it.
It's a very cliched answer, but
I was not a free thinking
I'm
13-year-old. I'm
right there
with
you, man. I'm right there with you.
Everybody else, man. I just wanted to fit in and keep my head down and be one of the popular kids. Be hitting that jewel and playing some Fortnite. Ew, don't ever do that. Those things are so fucking gross. Anyway, that's our show for this week. Mail@rageselect.com is the email address. If you have a burning question about Taco Bell or 13-year-old video game, Taco Bell or like
Death Stranding,
those are really the only two topics that we're
Right
really
now,
willing to go to.
Variations on questions about Death Stranding and Hideo Kojima.
Hey, man, if you got Star Wars questions, by next week, I'm going to have a brand new Star Wars game in me, as well as episode 2 of The Mandalorian. So, like, that could be a thing. MailerRageSite.com. And I think it's time to go make some nachos, man.
All right.
Talk about nachos for 40 minutes. I think I get some nachos.